So, belated happy birthday.
Thank you.
Anyway, we're going to start this meeting this morning with a Pledge of Allegiance given by our own John Bond and invocation by Ricky Hatch. I'll give the thought of the day, then we'll go to public comments. We'll go to that point.
Please join with me with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in prayer. Our dear Heavenly Father, we are grateful this morning to come before Thee to transact the affairs of the county, of the citizens of the county. We are grateful for those who serve in our county, both in official capacities as employees, as well as those who serve and work in business, in homes, and in charitable organizations. We are grateful for those citizens who bring so much value and service into this community. We are grateful and delighted to honor particular citizens today and are grateful for their service and their example. Please be with us as we conduct the affairs of the citizens of the county today, that all involved may make decisions and comments with an eye towards our unalienable rights and the proper rights and role of government. We love you and say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that. So my thought, commissioners, is related to our recent holiday, which was yesterday. The last Monday in May, which is now, because of federal legislation, recognized Memorial Day. But it's always nice to reflect back on where did these federal holidays start? What brought on the reason for the federal holiday? And I've said this before in the previous couple of years, but just as a reminder for those that maybe forgot, and my history teacher was very specific on making sure that we knew dates and places and times, but Memorial Day actually started right after the Civil War, 1865, 1866, but it was known up until 1971 when the federal government proclaimed Memorial Day as Decoration Day. And so when I was growing up, long before either of you were kicking on this planet, long before, my grandparents and parents it would always be referred to as Decoration Day, and we'd visit the grave sites and drop flowers. It was always a great day, typically with a picnic. But we do this in honor of the war. It started off basically for the Civil War, but then graduated for recognizing any of our war veterans, and especially those that made the ultimate sacrifice, that gave us the privileges we have today and the opportunities. And bottom line, they gave up most times their lives for our opportunities and our freedoms. And it's a good opportunity for us for this day to sit back and give thanks for for the sacrifices they made. And I think that very appropriate that we do that on an annual basis. That's my thoughts, commissioners.
Good thought.
Thank you. I hope everybody, by the way, I hope everybody had a good Memorial holiday. And it does start the unofficial start of summer. Official, I think, is June 21st, but unofficially, I think the people recognize that the campers were out in Ogden Valley, so I think summer's probably started, looks to me. Okay, let's go to public comments. Those in the audience that would like to come forward and speak to the commission, now's your time. We'd ask you keep it at 3 minutes and speak to those items that are on the agenda. Now's your chance to come forward. Not seeing any takers. Anyone online? Wow, okay. Everybody must be worn out after that long holiday weekend. Okay, let's go to our next agenda item. We actually have three very significant and recognition proclamations this morning, Commissioners. We're going to start with a proclamation naming June 10th, 2023, David L. Duncan Day in Weber County. And our own John Bond, and this could be John Bond Day too, I'm just saying, he deserves his own day.
You're very funny.
But John Bond's going to make our presentation. Mr. Bond, go ahead.
Good. If I might take privilege, my mom and dad both were in the Second World War. My mom was one of the first women in the Navy in the waves. Her brother died as a pilot, which motivated her to join, and I miss her dearly. So anyway, didn't mean to do that. Anyway, they were very devoted to this country. Appreciate that. Okay. We're trying to kind of keep this quiet so we can kind of, as far as David Duncan, what a gem of an individual. If you know David, he'll be 90. He's going to celebrate his birthday in a week from Saturday.
Wow.
And he served this community as well as the state of Utah in a tremendous way. And we want to quietly surprise him on June the 10th with perhaps if you would agree to a proclamation for him for that day. I don't know if it would be okay if I read that?
I'd love you to.
Awesome. Proclamation, David L. Duncan Day, June 10th, 2023. Whereas David L. Duncan is celebrating his 90th birthday with his family and many friends in the community on June 10th, 2023, and whereas David centered his professional career within public service, a noble calling involving a wide variety of challenging and rewarding positions which were essential to efficient and effective operation of county, state, and education. And whereas David served with a commitment to high ethical standards and encouraged excellence among his fellow public employees, and whereas David served as Weber County Treasurer from 1965 to 1972, as Utah State Treasurer from 1973 to 1977, was then appointed Chairman of the Utah State Tax Commission in 1978, and later served as Weber State University Treasurer. And whereas this proclamation provides an opportunity for all citizens of our community to pay tribute to David in his spirit of public service and to specifically express our deep appreciation for the many contributions he made to our daily lives. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Weber County, on behalf of the people of Weber County, does hereby proclaim June 10th, 2023 as David L. Duncan Day in Weber County, and we encourage all citizens to recognize the dedication of this public servant to the citizens of Weber County and the state of Utah. Passed, hopefully, this day, 30th of May, 2023, Weber County Commissioners.
And I can say it is official. Here's a
Oh, sweet. I love it.
signed by the 3 commissioners. Do they have family members here today?
No, I just did this quietly today, and then we'll surprise him on June the 10th with his family and friends there, if that's okay.
All right. So we'll keep this until that?
Yes.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate
But
that.
I'll be there that day, and if it's okay if I can present that in your behalf, I'd love to do that.
Yeah, you'll be here and making sure that.
That'll be a Saturday, so it's being held up at Weber State.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Well, appreciate that. Comments, commissioners?
Good form, John.
This is great. 90 years old.
Yes.
I know, and I remember him when he was state treasurer.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember him in the county as much, but
He was the county treasurer, then elected as county treasurer to become state treasurer
Yeah,
right after that,
yeah.
so,
that's great.
yeah.
Okay. Well, good. Appreciate that, John.
Awesome, thank you.
Look forward to that date.
Thank you.
Let's now go to our recognition of the Weber County elections for receiving a National Association of Counties 2023 Achievement Award titled Weber County Election Digital Communications to Increase Voter Confidence. Commissioner Jim Harvey.
Well, Mr. Chair, I'd like to actually defer to Ricky Hatch on this.
Okay.
If that's okay. I'll take this mic so Quinn doesn't have to scold me. I'd like to defer to Ricky Hatch on this. Thank you, Quinn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The National Association of Counties is made up of 85% of the nation's counties and has over 40,000 members. Every year they accept applications for innovation and excellence in service, and Weber County has been recognized once before. The Clerk Auditor's Office was recognized once before a few years back for services in the property tax area. But we submitted one this year because over the past couple of years, Weber County has really, with elections, it's been very important to get the message out to voters so they know where to go and what to do. And Weber County is really looked to as a leader across the nation in the elections sphere regarding promotion and social media outreach and digital communications. And that is due in great part, almost exclusively, to one of our employees, Megan Fitzpatrick, who's sitting right there in the front, front and center. We should have a spotlight. Megan has transformed our digital outreach in dramatic ways, and I'll go to a conference somewhere on the East Coast or down south or something like that, and people always come up to me and say, "Wow, I really love your social media posts, your tweets, or it's so good." And so it does get national attention, but most importantly, it is a great way to communicate here locally with our citizens. And I'll give you an example. On Election Day, November of 2022, the Google listed an incorrect location for a polling place. And we started finding people showing up at the polling place and they wouldn't be able to vote. We had to send them to the other vote center. And Megan and our team were able to utilize social media to get that message out very quickly so that folks would know, they would be able to look and identify the proper polling place to go to. And that's just one small example of already making use of an already strong digital communications platform and the connections there to help benefit the lives of our citizens. So we applied for this award in excellence in digital communications, and we were notified just last week that we received that, so we'll be recognized at the national conference in Texas in July.
Appreciate that. Commissioners, comments, questions?
Will this be at the NACO summer in July around the 24th?
Correct, yeah.
Thank you, Austin.
We'll be there. In July 2024. Maybe we
20
will.
through 24.
Yeah,
I'll be there.
okay, good. All right, Megan, congratulations. Great job. I don't get on social media a lot, but when I do, very rarely do I not see something from Weber County elections. And it's always, I think they're spot on posts. They basically are building confidence in the process, which everybody needs to have confidence in the voting process, which you and Ricky and Megan have done an excellent job for this county. So congratulations. Very much appreciated. Okay, let's go now to our next recognition. This will be given by Commissioner Bolos. This is a recognition of our own Melissa Freegang for being featured in the Utah Business Magazine as one of the 2023 30 Women to Watch. Commissioner Bolos.
Yes, thank you. Last week I was able to attend a luncheon where Melissa was honored, and Utah Business Magazine has this award every year. They give it to 30 women, and there were hundreds of nominees this year. And let me just read what this award is. 30 Women to Watch awards honor the exceptional women of Utah's businesses. These recipients empower others and confidently lead their companies while adeptly navigating the challenges that come with womanhood, and their essential work does not go unnoticed. So she was able to receive not only a nomination, but an award, and it was a great afternoon. You spend a lot of time down there. I just popped in for lunch and to watch her walk up and receive her award. But Melissa is the director of our Center of Excellence and does the intergenerational poverty and homelessness work in the county, and is maybe more passionate than anyone I've met at the county. She loves the work that she does, and it's important to her. And I see that your team is here to support you. So we just want to congratulate you. And I have her award. She's actually had this in her possession, but I wanted to share it with the commissioners. And
That's great. We actually saw this on social media posted with the other 29 individuals. I recognized a couple of them. Great company. Very well deserved, Melissa. Congratulations.
I'm proud of you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Commissioner Bolos?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, congratulations, Melissa. We appreciate everything you do for the county, and as Commissioner Bolo said, you drive with passion, you lead with passion, and it really helps this county. And your involvement is very much recognized. And this is a good indication, just not by people in this county, but people in the state, so which is very important. Thank you very much. Okay, Commissioners, let's now go to our consent items, if that's all right. Request for approval of warrants 8083 through 8169 and number 476, 676 through 476, 880, and number 267, the amount of $233,270.86. 2, request for approval of purchase orders in the amount of $124,899.32. And for a summary of warrants and purchase orders, we'll go back to Mr. Ricky Hatch. Ricky?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We issued 15 purchase orders this week for $125,000. Just under a quarter of that amount, or $28,000, was for the transfer station, which will go to purchasing fuel, signs, building improvements, software, and equipment maintenance. We had 2 items at 19% of the total, or $24,000. One for IT, which will go towards UPS maintenance, and the other for the sheriff's office to purchase tactical gear. We had 2 items at $20,000, or 16% of the total amount. One was for the county fair to purchase, pay for lights and sounds, and then one for the jail, which will go towards a waste collector, intoxication sensors, and inmate clothing and supplies. As far as warrants, we issued 293 checks this week for $2.2 million. Just under a third of that amount, $664,000, were ramp awards given to multiple entities. 28%, or $634,000, was for the transfer station, which was mostly disposal fees, but also some equipment maintenance. 10%, or $214,000, was our monthly contribution to the Weber Human Services Organization. 9%, or $197,000, was housing payments made on behalf of Weber Housing Authority. And then 5%, or $117,000, is to the Tourism Fund, and that is our contribution to the Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Thank you, Ricky. Questions for Ricky?
No questions, Mr. Chair.
Comments? Okay, thank you, Ricky. Let's move to agenda item, consent item 4, request for approval of minutes for the meeting held on May 23rd, 2023. 5, request from the Weber Morgan Health Department for approval to surplus a Toro Power Clean 621E snow blower and a Toro Time Cutter SS 3200 mower. 6, request for approval of a new business license. 7, request for approval of new beer license. 8, request for approval of an interlocal cooperation agreement by and between Weber County and the following to provide election services for the 2023 and 2025 elections. That would be Uinta Highlands Improvement District and Roy City. Those are the consent items, Commissioners. I'd entertain a motion or any comments or corrections.
Move to approve consent items G1 through 8.
Second?
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. Consent items are approved. Let's go to our action items. Action item H1, first reading of a proposed ordinance amending Title II, Chapter 11 of the Weber County Code to add a definition of overpayment and to clarify and simplify the refund process. Mr. John Bond, you're back on.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good to see you.
Yes.
Cortland Erickson from our Civil Division of the Weber County Attorney's Office asked me to work with him on updating the ordinance that applies to refunds for property taxes. And we've gone through that. We met with you in a work session a couple of weeks ago to address that issue, outlining that state law has changed significantly over the last 15 or 20 years. Our ordinance just didn't, and so we're just bringing that forward. From our discussions a couple of weeks ago in our work session, if you've got any questions from that, happy to address those. Otherwise, just ask for your consideration in approving this new updated ordinance for property tax refund processes.
Thank you. Commissioners, questions or comments? We did have an opportunity to go through this with our legal staff, I think it was last week or probably 2 weeks ago. So I think we're pretty familiar with just a process to simplify and clarify where we are on the refund policy.
We're trying to match more of what the state code now
Yeah.
reflects, and that's kind of just the reflection of what the new wording says.
Yeah. Questions, comments? If not, would entertain a motion for approve the first reading. Is that correct?
Correct.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Motion to approve is presented by Mr. Bond.
Second?
Thank you. Motion is second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thanks,
Thank you.
Mr. John Bond. Action, item H2, request for approval of resolution, which would be 26, 2023, by my notes, of the County Commissioners of Weber County appointing a trustee to the Board of the Pineview West Sewer Improvement District. And it looks like I'm going to take that. So just for clarification, the county does have, I don't see Chad in this, but Sean, how many,
It's right there.
Chad, well, we'll ask Sean. Sean, how many of these districts do we actually support throughout the county? Just a round number, half a dozen or?
Let's say around 10.
Around 10, okay. So when we do these are basically districts that are started on privately owned, but then we manage those and are responsible as the body politic. So what it takes then is that the commissioners are the trustees of these districts, sewer districts. And I would make the recommendation, since Scott Jenkins has retired, his term ended in 2022, that created a midterm vacancy. So my motion is we appoint Commissioner Sharon Bolos as a trustee of the board to fill the vacant position effective immediately, and that would be through that term that was originally taken by Commissioner Jenkins. Is that correct, Sean?
And that's a motion?
That's a motion.
Second.
That's second.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And that's a resolution, so we're going to go to roll call.
All right, roll call for Resolution 26-2023. Commissioner Harvey,
Aye.
Commissioner Bolos,
Aye.
Chair Frower.
Aye, thank you. Motion carries. Congratulations,
Thank you.
Commissioner Bowles.
Excited.
All right, let's now go to H3, which would be the first reading of an ordinance adding establishing fees for the Weber County weed spraying services. Mr. Bart Cragen, welcome.
Thank you, Commissioners. Good morning.
Good morning.
We talked about this last week. Currently, when we contract to spray with people, we're charging $15 an acre and $60 an hour for our time and equipment. With the price of chemical, I kind of felt like we were losing money. I don't think our goal is to make money, but we don't want to lose much money. So we kind of talked about raising the acreage to $40 an acre with increments at a half acre and also a half hour for the time and equipment.
Okay. Questions, commissioners?
Would there still be an hourly charge?
Yes, that's the $60.
So that's staying the same, but you're going from 15 to 40,
Correct.
okay? You would know, Bart. You're the master of this. Very capable.
I don't know about that.
Highest of confidence in this man.
Absolutely. I'll second that motion.
Well, I appreciate that.
All right, so that, and we've talked about that, establish the fees. Let me just say, after spending a couple hours at IFA this past week and purchasing some chemicals and then walking out with a substantial bill, I think anybody that's bought chemicals for weed control understands what happened the last 2 or 3 years on pricing. And again, I would say you're exactly right. It's not our intent to make money, but it's not our intent to lose money. And if I look at the price that we put on a per acre, that's still a reasonable price for somebody. I don't think and I have equipment, I don't think I could do it for less than that. In fact, I wondered, after this year, I may just hire the county to come and do it. But anyway, you provide a great service, Bart.
Well,
And
thank you.
we're getting right into the hot and heavy of the weed season as we speak. So with that, Commissioner Bolos?
You ready for a motion?
I am.
Move to approve the first reading of the ordinance establishing weed fees for Weber County's weed spraying services as presented.
Second.
And all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thanks, Bart.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Again, appreciate all you do.
Thanks.
Let's go to H5, request for approval of a resolution 27, 2023, of the County Commissioners of Weber County appointing 7 members to the Ogden Valley Dark Sky Committee. Presenter Rick Grover.
Just skip number 4.
Skip number 4.
Okay, we'll go back. Sorry about that. Let's do that and I'll go back to 4 since you're coming up.
Good morning, Commissioners. We appreciate you considering this. There's 7 members that's associated with the Dark Sky Committee. 3 are in-house and then 4 are from the Ogden Valley. The names are there for you to consider. There's 2 business owners and then 2 people from the general public. The business owners is Ashley Cross, Brigham Burton, Mark Bates, Fred, I forgot my glasses, Blick, and Shanna Francis. And then the general public is John Mule and Logan Bushel and Ron Gleason, Susan Carr, and Tammy Stapp. And from the staff, there's 1 planning department member. We're recommending you consider Bill Kobabe, 1 from Visit Ogden, and we're recommending you consider Sarah Tolliver, and then 1 from the Weber Parks and Rec, and we're considering on that one Todd Ferrario.
Good, thank you. So the 3 that you just named are basically chosen by planning or chosen by the county, then we appoint 4 from,
Yes.
2 from the business owners, 2 from the public.
Correct.
Okay. All right, Commissioners, I think we understand it. We've been through that list several times. Look forward to comments or a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion if I can.
Go ahead.
After a lot of careful considerations, going over their applications, and it's without hesitation that I can support the recommendation by planning for Mr. Kobabe, Bill Kobabe, also Sarah Tolliver from the CVB, and Mr. Todd Ferrario from the Culture, Parks and Recreation, especially the Parks and Recreation division of that. I'd also recommend as business owners that we appoint Mr. Mark Bates and Mr. Brigham Burton, and from the general public, Mr. Ron Gleason and Susan Clark Carr to those positions there.
Okay, we have a motion.
This is a resolution, right? Is that your motion? Second.
It'd be a for resolution, just to state that, Lynn, for you, as on that commentary 27-2023.
Second.
And we have a second. Any additional comments or questions? Thanks, Rick. Appreciate it. Roll call vote. Lynn?
Roll call vote on 27-2023. Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Commissioner Bolos?
Aye.
Chair Frower?
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, Sean, let's go back to the request for approval of agreement with Ogden City and the Weber Fire District for installation and maintenance of fire hydrants in Ogden Canyon. I think I skipped that because this goes back so long. I thought maybe this was a misprint from 4 years ago.
Correct.
So
Commissioners,
anyway, sorry about that, Sean, but go ahead.
thank you. We have been working on this for quite some time, just getting the parties together and coming to an agreement. We are finally there. So this agreement is to have 3 fire hydrants installed in Ogden Canyon, 1 at the Fairmont Bridge, 1 at the Cobbles Condominium Bridge, and 1 at the Wildwood Estates Bridge, or near those areas. And under the proposed agreement, Ogden City will furnish and install the fire hydrants, and Weber County and the Weber Fire District will evenly split the cost of paying for those fire hydrant assemblies. Then the Weber Fire District will provide basic hydrant maintenance, and Weber County will pay to replace any hydrants if they are damaged or destroyed in the future. And this agreement is an important safety measure that we can put in place in Ogden Canyon, not just for those who live there, but it is heavily trafficked for recreation use. It also protects the firefighters who put their lives at risk if there is a situation like that. So we would recommend approval of this agreement.
Thank you. So we haven't approved this before.
No, it's been now approved by the fire district and by Ogden City. Now this is the final step in putting this in place.
And Have any of these fire hydrants been installed?
None of these three have.
Okay.
There is another one that was installed previously.
That's what I thought. So we
Yes.
had one, we actually had a total of 4. The first one was installed, and then we've been waiting on this for,
Correct, to get
Period of time.
these other three installed, yes.
okay. Well, it is a safety issue. I would agree with that. I'm glad to see we finally got this resolved. Questions, comments, or motions, commissioners?
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with Ogden City and Weber Fire District for installation and maintenance of fire hydrants in Ogden Canyon.
Thank you for that.
Second with a comment.
Go ahead.
You know, this is something that's, this has taken us a long time to get to this point.
I was on the fire district board when this first came.
Is that right? Yeah, you think putting in a fire hydrant's a no-brainer, but boy, this has been a heavy, heavy list by a lot of people. So really appreciate you sticking to it and getting this done, and what a great service it'll be for Weber County, really, and especially the residents that live up the Ogden Canyon.
Yes.
Way to go.
Thank you.
Good job.
And the main benefactors of this obviously will be those people that live in the canyon. I mean, as we talked about this a number of years ago, I won't say how many years, we talked about if some of those areas, because the homes are so close together, if we ever had a fire starting there, boy, it could destroy a lot of homes in a very fast
Correct.
amount of time.
Yes.
So, okay. And we had a motion and a second.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, making sure I don't skip anything else, let's go to agenda item 8.6, request for approval of a requested rezone and associated ordinance, which would be 2023-12, from A1 to RE15, or alternatively R115, on approximately 40 acres. Applicant is Soderby LLC, Pat Burns, located approximately 3800 West, 1800 South, Ogden, Utah, ZMA 2023-01. Tammy Adelot, you're up. We talked about this, I think, a week ago.
Yes, Commissioner, we did. We held a hearing
Okay,
last week.
That's right.
This item was tabled to give our legal team just
right.
some additional time to review and approve the development agreement, which they have in the past week. And just to recap, because Commissioner Harvey wasn't here, this is a request to rezone 40 acres out off of 1800 South. This would entitle the developer to 116 lots within this development. So the next step, once the development agreement is recorded and this rezone request is approved, would be to submit a subdivision application and to go through that approval process as well. Any questions for me at this time?
None for me. We went through it. Commissioner Harvey, you were in a couple of the work sessions when we talked about this.
This isn't new.
So-
And I
Right.
appreciate you waiting to do it formally, or legislatively, but this isn't new to me, and I'm okay.
Okay.
I'd really like, instead of 30 acres, I like one for every 3 acres, but I didn't want Pat to pucker up too much. So,
I do have one question.
Go ahead.
So the recommendation is to rezone from A1 to RE15 or alternatively R115.
Yeah, so.
Do you have a preference?
Well, the explanation for that is when this was presented to the Planning Commission several weeks ago, we didn't have the R115 ordinance in place. That has since come before the County Commission. And so we were using RE15 development standards. Really, the only difference between RE15 and R115 is we don't allow any ag uses in the R115. So our proposal, especially given some of these 6,000 square foot lots, would be to rezone to R115.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And just so we make sure we're all on the same page, and I asked this last week, that we're taking the total acreage, dividing that by the 15,000 square feet to arrive at the number of lots.
Correct.
But we are allowing, in some cases, less than 15,000, but no more than the total number of lots with that, using that equation, total acreage divided by 15,000 square feet.
That is correct.
Okay, I think we're all clear on that. Okay, so we have a request for approval. Do we have a motion? If not, I'd entertain one.
Move to approve ordinance 2023-12.
Second.
And we have a second. Roll call vote. Lynn?
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Commissioner Bolos?
Aye.
Chair Frower?
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Let's go now to our public hearing. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn this public meeting and reconvene as a public hearing.
So move.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We're now in a public hearing. Our public hearing agenda item 2, public hearing and first reading for consideration of a county-initiated text amendment to the subdivision ordinance to exempt lot adjustments from preliminary and final subdivision review and to amend the fee schedule for land use code application fees. That'd be ZTA 2022-02. Mr. Steve Burton, go ahead.
Yep. Good morning, Commissioners. Before you is an ordinance proposed by the Planning Division, and we've talked about it a few times in work session fairly recently. We believe that the ordinance helps address a concern that we've had for a few years related to what we call lot line adjustments. And also because the proposed ordinance includes some fee changes. We're doing a first reading this week, and we'll follow up with a final reading hopefully next week. So just to give you some explanation here, currently the county ordinance, the county subdivision code, requires that if you are proposing to amend or adjust a boundary line between your lot and a lot in the same subdivision, you have to go through our whole process. It's a whole subdivision amendment process. It usually takes 2 to 3 months to get through that process. We've noticed that it takes longer than it should because of some of the things in the ordinance, and we also feel like the fee should be a little bit less. And so what this ordinance does is it cuts down that review time. The way it's proposed is it would eliminate any requirement for a public meeting. If it's just a lot adjustment, if it's a neighboring property and maybe they built their fence on your property on accident and you need to adjust that boundary, as long as it meets the code, the zoning code, we feel we could just approve it in-house without having a meeting. We've looked to state code, and we feel that state code doesn't mandate a public meeting in this case. So we've written a section in the subdivision code to exempt these lot line adjustments from having to go through a full review. Let's see. The fee changes here. Maybe I'll share my screen to show you what those are proposed to be. So we are proposing to, if you can see that, we're proposing to add a new fee for subdivision lot adjustments because it will be less review time and less things will be required to be looked at. Typically, when you're looking at a subdivision review, we're looking at a larger subdivision and need to look at subdivision improvements. In a case like this, where it's just an adjustment, we feel it should be a less of a fee. So what we've done is we've taken our small subdivision fee that was that is currently $520, and we've said, you know what, let's half it because it's going to take hopefully half the time and half the review. We kept the same fee for the size, $25 per lot. Our engineers were also comfortable cutting their review fee in half. Our surveyors, however, have said they do the same review regardless of the number of lots. They're going to be looking at the same technical, very specific things, so their fee is not proposing to be changed at all. Some of these other things are just updating the fee schedule. We used to, our large subdivision, we used to call it 5 lots or more. That has since changed, and so same with small subdivision. We just want to get delete the number of lots and just base it on our ordinance as to what a large and what a small subdivision is, but those fees are not changing. With these, we've talked to you about these a little bit as well. Not an increase in fee, but we've noticed with our conditional use permits and our design reviews, there is a base fee which is paid. It's $770 to the planning department. There's $230 to the engineering department. But what we've noticed is that there was a fee per 1,000 square feet of total building area and per 1,000 square feet of site area, and we felt that there were certain cases where maybe someone would be submitting an expanded parking lot where you'd have several acres of asphalt. And we felt that we couldn't really justify charging $30 per 1,000 square feet. It adds up really quick at that point. And so what we did is we looked at other areas nearby, and we figured how they were doing it was basing their additional fee off of $100,000 of project valuation. We we feel that is more, we could justify that review cost that way. Because if it is more of an expensive project and there's more details to it, then it would make more sense for us to be able to charge more. So we're proposing to change that, and that should actually help, I think, a lot of people out that are paying these review fees, saying, well, it's just a parking lot or it's just a warehouse. Yes, that warehouse is, maybe it's a couple acres, but it costs a lot of money previously to review those under our current fee schedule. So that's what we're proposing to change there. $100,000 worth of project valuation. We'll charge $30 for that instead of $1,000 per square feet. So this is the first reading. I'll come back hopefully next week, but happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Great. Thank you, Steve. Questions for Mr. Burton?
I
Mr.
do.
Harvey, go ahead.
Does this treat the customer fairly in your estimation? Does this treat the customer fairly?
As far as the fee schedule goes, yes. Yeah.
In your estimation, does it treat the county fairly?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. No other questions.
And Steve, Rick's here. I appreciate your work on this. I think it's just an example of leading out and making sure that the fees we charge are justifiable, both to the county and also for the person, applicant. And again, I think that we heard a couple different occasions where the fees just seem extraordinarily high because of acreage, so it was time to look at that. And I think it's fair. I think it's more equitable for both the county and the applicant if it's based on value rather than size, because value is really the heart of what our taxing forms say. It should be based on value, not on anything else. So I think this is a step in the right direction. I appreciate your work on it.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go now to our next public hearing, which is consideration of requested rezone and associated ordinance from A1 to RE15, or alternatively R115, on approximately 10 acres. Applicant is Single Tree Acres LLC, Chad Buck, developer. This project is located at approximately 4520 West, 2200 South in Ogden, Utah, 84401, ZMA 2022-01. Tammy, you're back. Go ahead.
I am back. Okay. This one has been before you as well in work sessions. We've discussed connectivity. We've discussed calculating density. This is a 10-acre piece located immediately adjacent to the new high school out west. And I'll show you how those developments will hopefully connect at some point in the future. Bear with me here. This is currently, to the left, you kind of see the existing zoning. This is located in the A1 zone. So 40,000 square foot minimum, 150-foot wide lots. This is the new high school here. This is the location of the request. This is Stagecoach. This is the one that was just approved by you a few minutes ago. And this is another one that's been before you that's been approved. Just kind of wanted to show you how this is all coming together and where you're seeing some of these rezone requests. Whenever we look at these rezone requests, we look at how it applies or how it fits in with the general plan. Excuse me. And when you look at the future land use map, everything in yellow is slated to be medium-sized residential lots, which means about 15,000 square feet. Now, when we calculated the density for this one, technically the developer is entitled to 29 lots. He's asking for 25 lots. And you can see here where it's located off of 2200 South. These are just some points as to how it applies. The developer has proposed some extensive vehicular and pedestrian connectivity to hit some of those smart growth principles. Again, these rezone requests, the developers are not entitled to these. We encourage them to try and hit as many of these smart growth principles in the general plan as they can to show that they're providing a benefit to the community. This is their concept plan. Excuse me. I wanted to point out this 30-foot wide pathway. So this is coming up off of 2200 North. And they are proposing not only road dedication all the way to the north, but also along that northern boundary here. They're also proposing connectivity to the west. This is the pathway that lines up with the requested pathway to the high school. And I'll show you how that lines up here. When you look at this map, this is the layout for the new high school. This is the proposed development here to the west, excuse me. When we talked to the high school about installing that pathway, we knew that we were going to be getting neighborhoods coming in very soon. And so that pathway is still a requirement for the high school. The developer is proposing a 30-foot wide pathway here. We have the development agreement included with this request that outlines the street cross sections, street trees, pathways, and you have that in your staff report. They have, excuse me.
Sorry, Tammy, can you go back to that? And along the pathway, there are 2 lots on each side of that pathway. What are those lot numbers?
Let me go back to, I don't have my glasses either, actually. It looks like
20,
lot,
21.
right.
Got it, thank you.
We have been provided capacity assessment letters for culinary, secondary, and sewer services. One of the things that was required by the Planning Commission was that the developer contribute to an open space amenity or a park amenity. So they have worked with the Parks District. You've heard this figure before. They've met with the Parks District and agreed upon about $2,000 per lot to contribute to the nearest park, which I believe is located over in the Taylor Landing area. It's within a 1.5 mile distance. So we will require that agreement in writing when they submit for their subdivision. But we have received a tentative letter from the Parks District up to this point. That is pretty much all I've got. We try to keep these kind of short and sweet. Do you have any questions for me at this time? And I believe the developer's here as well, if you have any questions for him.
Thank you, Tammy. Questions, commissioners?
I don't have any.
I'll save mine for the other part.
Okay, thanks, Tammy. Appreciate your presentation. Okay, let's go now to public comments. If the developer would like to come now and speak, or anybody else that would like to speak on this, on any of these previous 2 discussion points, now's the time to do it. Okay, doesn't look like anybody's rushing the mic, so I would move to a motion to adjourn our public hearing and reconvene as a public meeting, commissioners.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Let's go to our action on the public hearing, which would be, start with action item 12, request for approval of the first reading for consideration of a county-initiated text amendment to the subdivision ordinance to exempt lot adjustments from preliminary and final subdivision review and to amend the fee schedule for the land use code and application fees as was just presented this morning. So that has to do with our application fees and really just the lot line adjustments. And that was brought to us by our own planning commission, or planning staff.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion that we approve that first reading of those application fees at ZTA 2022-02.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. That's approval of the first reading. Let's go to action item 613, request for approval of requested rezone and associated ordinance, that'd be 2023-13 from A1 to RE15 or alternative R115 on approximately 10 acres. Applicant is Single Tree Acres LLC, Chad Buck. Project is located approximately 4520 West, 2200 South. That was just presented by Ms. Tammy Adelot. So, questions or motions? Either one.
Comment?
Comment.
So, in our respective work sessions over the last few years with regards to this, I don't have any reservations about allowing that where we are in density. The discussion had to do with safety for that pathway. And so I think in that discussion, we did talk about that no fence along that pathway would be higher than 3 feet, and no structure would be built, even a rear garage. Rick, was that 15 or 20 feet from that fence? Okay, and that's where I would like to, that's where my, that's where I'm going to stick to.
You're talking just about the pathway and not the backyards of the rest of those that are bordering the school?
I'm just talking about the pathway only, and just lots 20 and 21 is what was presented here today. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'm ready to make a motion to that effect when you're
Okay.
ready to receive it.
All right, and did we confirm, I think we've had that discussion prior, Rick, and is that your understanding of what we agreed to? Okay, that's how I remember it too, Commissioner. Okay, with that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 2023-13, making sure that lots 20 and 21, there's nothing more than a 3-foot high fence and no structure closer than 15 feet. Just those 2 lots along that pathway or access to the school be approved. And so that's my motion.
Great, we have
That's
a motion.
2023-13.
We have a motion.
Second?
Okay, any additional comments? If none, roll call vote. Lynn?
Roll call vote, Commissioner Harvey,
Aye.
Commissioner Bolos,
Aye.
Chair Frower.
Aye, thank you. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, that concludes all our agenda items, unless I've missed something else. So let's go to Commissioner comments. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Bolos?
None from me.
Wow, okay. Commissioner Harvey?
No, none from me.
Boy, okay. Then I'd entertain
Well,
a,
I'll yield my time to you, Mr. Chair.
no, I've said enough this morning. Thank you very much. So I'd entertain a final motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We're adjourned. Thank you very much. Appreciate those that are with us this morning. Have a great week.
For those of you in the audience that would like to stay another 2 or 3 hours,
Yeah.
please sit around.